Chapter 25, Big Melvin. Soon Ingrid Ashley from Channel 4 Eyewitness News arrived on the scene. How did you manage to destroy the Robo-Boogers? She asked. I'll answer that, said Melvin's the LAC swooped in front of the cameras. He was robed in some old drapes that he had tied around his neck at the last minute, and he looked quite silly. I, Big Melvin, fought those monsters with my mighty superpowers, Melvin fibbed. Then I destroyed them with my super smart brain. No, you didn't, said Harold. You weren't even here, said George. Don't listen to those guys, said Melvin. I, Big Melvin, am the real hero here. Melvin flew above the two defeated Robo-Boogers and used his new laser eye beams to burn the letters B and M in front of the dead creatures. Just like Zorro, said Big Melvin. I shall sign my initials on all my heroic handiwork. From now on, whenever you see a big BM, you'll think of me. That's funny, said George. Big BMs have always made me think of you. Big Melvin flew over to the Captain Underpants and grabbed him by the arm. Now, said Big Melvin, the entire world shall bear witness to the humiliating defeat of Captain Underpants. Suddenly, George and Hal got an idea. They turned and ran back to the scroll while Big Melvin continued to threaten Captain Underpants. I command you to bow down to me, shouted Big Melvin. Never, said Captain Underpants. You shall bow down to me, Big Melvin yelled. I shan't, cried Captain Underpants. Then, said Big Melvin as he untied the drapes around his neck, you'll feel the power of my wrath. Chapter 26, The Drapes of Wrath. Big Melvin held his drapes tightly, then smacked Captain Underpants in the tushy with them. Smack! I command you to deny underwear except the power of Big Melvin! He shouted. No white bumps! Cried Captain Underpants. Big Melvin smacked Captain Underpants again. Smack! Bow down to me! He commanded, and I shall spare your life! Oh, go jump on the dock! Said Captain Underpants defiantly. Suddenly, George and Hal returned to the scene, out of breath and hiding something behind their backs. Hey, Big Melvin! Shouted George, huffing and puffing. What? Yelled Big Melvin. Hal pulled the Combined Charge 2000 out from behind his back and aimed it at Melvin and Captain Underpants. You shouldn't leave your toys lying around the library, bub, George said slyly. Melvin shrieked in horror as Harold pulled the trigger. Buzz! A blinding flash of pink light shot out of the Combined Charge 2000, surrounding Melvin and Captain Underpants and squishing them together. George had to reset the controller to combine them both, transfer their superpowers back to Captain Underpants, and then separate them. I sure hope this works, said Harold. Me too, said George. Chapter 27, to make a long story short, it did. Bonk! Chapter 28, with big underwear comes big responsibility. Big Melvin fell to the ground with a thud. Immediately, Captain Underpants began floating in the air. Hey! Cried the good captain. I got my superpowers back! I knew the underwear would never let me down! George turned and zapped the Channel 4 Eyewitness News team with a forget-your call in 2000. Flash! Suddenly, the Channel 4 Eyewitness News team, as well as everyone at home watching the story unfold on Channel 4 Eyewitness News, immediately forgot what had just happened. The horror was over, everything was back to normal, and everyone was happy. Well, everyone except Big Melvin that is. Saw Melvin. Oh, let me some of that back! Oh, quit your whining bumps, George. You've been a total jerk for the last two books. You should just be happy that you didn't get your comeuppance. Chapter 29, Comeuppance See Me Sometime. Get it? Anyway, soon a crowd gathered and began to recognize Melvin. Hey! Cried Miss Hethorn. That's the little squirter said he's gonna find my hiding! There he is! Shouted a couple of very old lingerers. That's little brother lives up in a tree! He might as well as the big guy! Cried the entire football team simultaneously. Dude! Yelled one of the skateboarders. That's the little dude our dude boards a few dudes ago! Laughed Melvin nervously. Maybe I'll just go home now. Cut up! Shouted the old ladies. Ah! Screamed Melvin as he ran away, followed closely by a large group of angry people. I'm sorry. Chapter 30. Harold's surprise. As Melvin and his angry mob ran off into the sunset, George and Hal had just one last thing to deal with. A quick squirt of water to counter Underpants' face was all it took to bring him back to his crappy old self. Well, that takes care of that, said George, and the two boys walked back to their treehouse. As George climbed up the ladder to the treehouse, Harold became quite fidgety. Said Harold nervously. There's something I should probably tell you, George. But when George reached the top of the ladder and looked inside the treehouse, no explanation was necessary. Hey, said George, I thought you told me you took Crackers back to his home. I did, said Harold, back to his new home. Harold, said George sternly, we can't keep a pet pterodactyl. Do you know how many crackers they need to eat every day? We could never afford it. I know, said Harold sadly, but look how cute he is, and he's made friends with Sulo too. Can we keep him for just one night? Well, alright, said George, but we're taking him back tomorrow. Chapter 31, Tomorrow. The next day, George, Helen, and Sulo returned to school with Crackers tucked snugly into Harold's book bag. Together, the four friends sneaked back upstairs to the library, where the Purple Potty stood before them in all of its forbidden glory. Oh my god, the mob has been chasing Melvin for a very long time. His legs must be sore. Anyway, come on, said George. Let's give this baby another spin. I don't know, said Harold. Maybe you should give it a day to cool off. Nah, I'm sure it can be used 2 days in a row, said George. What could possibly go wrong? But didn't Melvin warn us not to use his time machine 2 days in a row? But didn't Melvin warn us not to use his machine 2 days in a row, asked Harold. Yeah, so George, back in chapter 12, starting with the first word in the third line of the second paragraph on page 77. Okay. Okay. Wow, I turned into that page. Alright, so that's page 77, second paragraph, 1, 2, 3. Whatever you do at this very party, don't use the time machine 2 days in a row. It needs to cool off every other day, or else it might happen to put the mouth screen to get surely it's not that important. What exactly did he say? Asked Harold. Well, I just told you that. I just told you what he said. Beats me, said George. I'm not very good at remembering details. Well, I don't know about this, said Harold. What if our journey brings about the end of the world as we know it? That's ridiculous, George. It all sounds like a setup for a sequel to a really cheesy children's book. The four friends stepped inside the purple potty and closed the door behind them. George set the controller to return them to the Cretaceous period of the Mesozoic era and then pulled the chain. Suddenly, an orange light began flashing wildly. Hey, I don't remember seeing an orange light before, said Harold. Then the purple potty began to shake and rock violently. I remember this thing shaking and rocking before either, said George. Something is wrong, cried Harold. Something is terribly, terribly wrong! Suddenly, the entire room lit up with an explosive burst of lightning, and the purple potty began to disappear into a whirlwind of electric air. The only thing that could be heard above the chaotic clatter was the sound of two terrified voices screaming to the unknown abyss. Oh no! Screamed one of the voices. Here we go again! Screamed the other. Wait, we never find out who says, oh no, and here we go again in this one. It just says one of the voices said it. But anyway, now that that's over, be sure to keep up next week for my read aloud of the next exciting adventure! Well, it actually landed on. I'll see you there. Thank you so much for watching. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like so that I enjoyed it. If you don't like pictures, put a sign. No, you did enjoy it. Leave your full thoughts in this video. If you're going to leave it, dislike. Then tell me what is like. And otherwise, you can play or like, subscribe so the next video goes out. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.